So, ending a professional relationship can be awkward, right? Especially when there's a contract staring you in the face. Today, we're going to break down the legal ins and outs of ending an agency agreement. We'll get into what you need to know, what your rights really are, and what risks you need to watch out for. Let's dive in.
You know that feeling, right? You sign a contract, you're excited, and then maybe a little bit of regret starts to creep in. You might feel totally locked in, like you're stuck in an agreement that just isn't working anymore. But the big question is, are you really stuck? Is that contract as unbreakable as it seems?
Okay, first things first, let's get on the same page about what we even mean by agency. At its heart, it's all about trust. It's a relationship where one person, the agent, is acting for another person, the principal. And in this story, you're the principal. This idea that it's a personal relationship built on trust is the key to understanding literally everything else we're about to talk about.
All right, so not every breakup has to be messy. A lot of agency agreements just end. They wrap up naturally, just like they were supposed to, with no drama or hard feelings. We can call these the no-fault endings. So what does a no-fault ending look like in the real world? Well, it could be as simple as the contract hitting its expiration date. Boom, it's over. Or maybe the whole reason for the agency is gone, like the house you hired an agent to sell has been sold, or heaven forbid, it was destroyed. The relationship also just automatically dissolves if either you or your agent passes away or becomes legally incapacitated.
But what if none of that applies? What if you're in the middle of a contract and you just want out? Well, this is where things get really, really interesting. Turns out there's a core legal principle that gives you, the principal, way more control than you might think.
Okay, lean in for this one, because this is the heart of our entire explainer. Absolute power to revoke at any time. Just let that sink in. Because the law sees agency as a deeply personal relationship of trust. It says you can't be forced to stay in it. You always, always have the power to say, we're done, and walk away. I mean, that sounds almost too good to be true, doesn't it? Absolute power means you can just call it quits, no questions asked, end of story. Well, this is where the law gets a little tricky, because as you're about to see, having the power to do something isn't exactly the same as having the right to do it.
And that brings us to the most important distinction of this whole conversation, the difference between your power and your right. Seriously, getting this concept is the key to avoiding some very expensive mistakes. So let's break it down.
Think of it like this. On one side, you have power. That's your raw ability to say, this is over. And like we just said, you always have that power. But on the other side, you have the right. And that's your legal green light, your justification for ending the contract without facing any penalties. Two very, very different things. So, here's the catch. This is the whole ballgame right here. If you use your power to end the agency, but you don't have the legal right to do it, meaning you don't have a good cause, then you could be in breach of contract. And a breach of contract almost always comes with a price tag. So, what does breach of contract actually mean for your wallet? Well, you could be on the hook for damages the agent incurred because you bailed. You might even have to pay their full commission, just as if the deal went through. A classic example is getting cold feet and pulling your house off the market before the listing agreement is up. Sure, you have the power to do that, but you probably don't have the right, and it could mean you're writing a big check for that commission anyway.
Okay, we're in the home stretch, but there is one final critical step you absolutely cannot forget. Let's say you've terminated the agency. You're done. You're free. Or are you? We need to talk about what I call the ghost agent problem.
Now, the fancy legal term is ostensible agent, but ghost agent is way more memorable, right? This is basically your former agent who, to the rest of the world, still looks like they have the authority to act for you. Why? Because the people they were dealing with, like potential buyers, were never told the relationship was over. And this ghost can still make deals that you could be on the hook for. Yikes. So, when do you need to tell everybody that the agent is gone? It's pretty specific. If the agency ends because the contract just expired, or the job is done, or the agent themselves quits, then yes, you are required to notify third parties to avoid that whole ghost agent thing. But if the agency ends because you, the principal, pass away, become incapacitated, or you actively fire the agent yourself, the termination is considered effective immediately for everyone. No notice required. And before we wrap, here is a golden nugget of info. A real pro tip straight from the law books that you need to know. Any exclusive listing agreement you sign must have a specific, definite termination date written right into it.
It has to. If it doesn't have one, that agreement isn't even enforceable by the broker. That is a massive safety net built right into the law to protect you. So what's the big takeaway here? You always, always hold the power to end an agency relationship. You are never truly trapped. But, and it's a huge but, using that power without the legal right can really hurt you financially. It all comes down to being prepared, which leaves us with one final crucial question. Before you sign on that dotted line, have you thought about your exit strategy?